All right. Got two things going on at the same time, so I apologize for this light over my head. Can't get a better camera angle for this. My name is Justin. I'm a coach at in the Jiu-Jitsu class, the Elements Jiu-Jitsu class, and so this is my regular thing I've been doing for about 6 weeks now. Just been doing the basics at home Jiu-Jitsu class that anybody can participate in. Family style. So if you have young kids or teenagers and they have did jujitsu before, or they want to do jujitsu, they can come to this every day, Monday through Thursday, I should say, at 5 o'clock. And so I do this for about 40 minutes, just because I'm mostly done it on Zoom, so that I can have more the ability to see students. So if people come into the Zoom class using the Zoom link, then you can come in there. I don't have it on the Facebook Live, but I do have it on the links that I share otherwise. So if you want to just watch, that's perfectly fine as well. If you want to ask questions along the way, that is great. So I'll tell you what we're doing today. So today we are doing the mount position, which is when someone is basically sitting on top of you. I have my dummy, so it won't be completely accurate to movements and stuff, but if you want to try some while I'm explaining, that's great. And like I said, if you have any questions, just go ahead and ask those. So let's get started here. So this is my dummy. His name is Bob. At least that's what I call him. All right, and if you are interested, we do actually have some dummies available at the Springfield Elements Academy. So if you want to come in and grab one of those, you want to ask the front desk and George Burns. He's the guy who's kind of in charge of all that, and he'll give you some info about that if you're interested in getting a dummy. We do have adult-sized dummies, kind of big like this. We also have smaller-sized dummies for the kids and stuff. So, all right. So what is the mount position? Let's start with that, because some of you might be like, this is my first time ever looking at jiu-jitsu, grappling, whatever. So let's, I always like to start right at the beginning as if everybody knows nothing. That's what we do. So the mount position is simply this. I am straddling the person beneath me, okay? Now, this can consist of multiple different variations. So this is more of a regular seated mount, and a lot of times you'll see this in MMA because the guy will be on top of their opponent, and they'll be punching, and it's much easier to generate power. You can come back like this. So this is your regular seated mount. In jiu-jitsu, since we don't punch, sitting up like this is actually a liability. So what we tend to do is we tend to come down like this. Okay, and your hands on the mat is fine. Gives you more mobility because you can base on your hands instead of just your knees. And of these varying positions, you can put hooks in to your opponent like this, creating a lot of pressure into your opponent's pelvis and belly button. You can also put your feet together. You can hook the feet and really stretch them out. Those are different variations. Also, you can do what's called a high mount, which is where you get up real high like this. And this lets you do a few more things, specifically, like use your weight to push down on hands. There's a few sit-up moves you can do here. And there's a couple other variation positions. Turning away, somebody could come up here like this. This is called a S mount, which goes to this thing we call triple threat and whatnot. But just for basic sake, we're going to assume that at first your opponent doesn't really know much about mount, okay? So the first few days of this, we're just going to be doing if your opponent is sitting on you, or just doing a lower, not completely hooked in mount, but a lower mount because they want to do some attacks on you, okay? So I always like to start be in the defensive position, because the fact is you can't survive a fight or win a fight unless you know how to defend yourself. Okay? So I'm going to take Bob's place here, and he's just going to come up on top of me. So if you have a partner to be on top of you, that'd be great. And if not, like I said, you can just watch. Okay, so we have Bob here, and he's on top of me. We're doing just jiu-jitsu. Now, first thing I'm doing wrong is I'm actually pushing up here on the chest. Okay, you don't ever want to push on the chest because it feels like you should. It feels like this is what I should do. But if anybody knows even basic jiu-jitsu, they're going to swing one of their legs around, and they're going to arm bar you. Okay, so pushing on the chest is not the best option for what you're going to do. There are two ways you can look at this. One is you want to keep your elbows in tight like this. You also want to defend your neck from chokes till you're ready to make whatever moves you're going to make. And so we're going to go over two moves today. All right. The first move is to move ourselves to get our opponents, or to get us out from underneath our opponent and get back to half guard or full guard. And the second move we're going to make is it's called the upa. It's a trap and roll. Okay. So, like I said, so let's talk about this first move. So this first move, like I said, and again, hopefully you can hear me when the dummy's in my face. The first move starts down when your opponent's kind of close. So you're keeping your hands in tight, okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to flatten this leg out, this inside leg. All right, and what that does is that keeps your opponent from controlling your legs. And you also kind of want to turn a little bit onto your hip. This really gets your leg flat up against the mat, okay? Because that's what you really want. So you want to use at least one leg to be able to kind of get them off balance like this. And for our purposes, what we're going to do is use that to help us turn onto our side. Okay. So when you turn on your side, you're going to actually control at the hip and at the knee by using a frame that you're going to create with both hands like this. Okay. And then what you're going to do is you're going to push the leg through and push the leg down over your leg and grab it. Okay, so it kind of looks like this. So I'm here, right? I want to I want to re-guard my opponent. So again, I'm going to turn, and I'm going to push. I'm going to come in here like this, and I'm going to push down on the leg. And I think that to create this frame, that's going to be your first part that you want. So I'm actually like using this outside arm against my opponent's hip like this. And then I'm going to use this hand to push. So I'm actually starting here like this. Then I'm going to push down, and I'm going to shove that foot inside. All right, that's my first step. So again, I'm here, I'm defending, I turn. Once I turn, I get these frames down here, and then frame on the hip, and then push down the leg and get it inside. Then I'm going to come back, try to get my hands back up to create frames in the body, and I'm going to turn my hips out, and I'm going to what we call shrimp. So I'm going to put this foot on the mat here, push back, regain guard. Now I'm in a much better position than I was before. Okay. Now this requires a little bit of your body mindfulness when you do this move, because you're actually turning a lot, you're spinning a lot, and then you're moving away. One of the fundamental concepts of jiu-jitsu is not to try to push your opponent away from you, but it's to try to move yourself away from your opponent, okay? Because if a guy's on top of me, I know I'm a big guy, but if a guy's on top of me and I just try to like bench press them off, if they weigh, 150 to 200 pounds, I could probably do that. But if there's a really big guy who's really just laying his weight into the right spots, I would not be able to just push that person off. So what I need to do then is I need to actually create that frame, which is what I'm doing, and I'm actually going to move myself underneath them. Okay. So in this case, again, so your guy's on top like this, and I'm here. I'm going to flatten this leg out. So then in this case, it's my left leg, and I'm going to turn to my left. All right. When I do, I'm going to start by creating this frame on his waist, right? And there's a reason for that. And then I'm going to take this hand, and it's actually going to be underneath. And there's a reason for that too. Because a lot of times in the gi, we have more grips. So this guy can actually grab my sleeve and try to pull this arm up. So if I've got this defended here like this, he tries to pull on that sleeve, he's going to be pulling against himself, which is exactly what I want. So if he pulls against himself, his leg lifts up, and then I can still push it underneath, see? And I've got control of this hand. So again, when I come to create this frame, I'm going to come down here like this, and I'm going to open my legs up, and I'm actually going to just, once I'm here, unless he's trying to control this hand, I'm actually just going to push that down like that, all right? If he's got a lot of weight on his knee too, because a lot of people will roll down onto this knee, so if you try to push that knee, you can't. This also helps too, because I can actually rotate my body a little bit to get them up off that knee. And then once they're off that knee, then I can push down and get that inside. Then I'm going to, again, just shoot my hips out, even if I have to do it twice. And then I'm going to shrimp. The shrimp is when I say shrimp, what I'm actually doing, I'll show you this without Bob on here, since that's probably a good question. What I'm actually doing is I'm taking this foot, one of these feet, let's say my left foot here. I'm going to lift myself up just a little bit, and I'm going to turn. So see how this foot will go straight, and I'll actually get up and turn, and I'll move away. So that's what we call a shrimp. I'm moving, using my foot to move myself backwards. And it's different than just trying to like walk backwards. Everybody can, kind of do that. The shrimp is explosive, and if I tried to walk backwards with somebody controlling me, it'd be really easy. Shrimping helps me not only move, it helps me move off at an angle, because if I try to move in line with my opponents, it's not gonna work. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shrimp. So I'm gonna put that foot there like this. Once I'm here, I'm actually gonna shoot my butt out like that. And that'll move me away from my opponent while I have created my frames to push them away, okay? So one more time with that. Guys, mounted on top of me. I'm defending here. This leg goes flat and I turn. This one goes down, and I create this, and I'm gonna be here protecting my hand, and then I'm gonna push that leg inside, frame, go to the other side, shrimp out, come back, now I'm in guard. Okay? And then after that, the guard is a completely different scenario. You have different responses to guard movements that I will have already covered, but we'll cover also at a later date. So, but in the guard, you have more defense. So that's what we want there. All right. Now the next movement that I want to go over is called the upa escape. All right. Now the upa escape is, again, your opponent's on top of you, but they're actually being a little more aggressive. Like when someone's on top of you and they're just sort of sitting there kind of figuring it out, or your reflexes go right into, ready, go, and you get, someone goes to like mount on top of you. So like if I was here inside control, right, and I go right to mount like this, so my legs kind of free, they should potentially already be turned and ready to push this leg down to regain half guard. Okay, so that's what usually happens with this move. Is I'm here, boom, he turns, gets my foot inside, turns the other way, gets the other one inside, whatever. Now, sometimes you get mount and they're very stable already. They're very strong, and you want a different way to get out. And even sometimes it's not as easy to do the one as the other. And this can vary with things like body type can be an issue. Flexibility can be an issue, how low they can sit. Like there's all kinds of little things that you run into that you don't really fully understand at first when you're doing jiu-jitsu. So you need a few options from every position to be able to defend yourself and get back into a good position. Okay. So this position, this move, like I said, it's called Upa, and the way it works is your opponent, you trap your opponent's arm. So usually I'm going to try to Upa over my left shoulder. So you trap your Upa's arm with what we call an overhook. So my arm goes over their arm. Now, I'm just going to set it up so you guys see what it looks like first, and then give you the details about it. So we're here, and I'm going to trap this foot here like this, and then I'm going to bridge, and I'm going to roll. And when I bridge and roll, they're going to land on their back, and you're going to end up in there. This is called the guard position. So you're inside the guard here. Okay. Now, it seems pretty easy. You just grab the arm, grab the foot, you roll over, right? But there's a lot more to it than that because of potential responses to this move, all right? For example, like if I was here and my arms were here and this guy just goes to reach up to grab my arm. So if I'm here and he just goes to reach up to grab my arm and say my arms are here, I'm gonna be like, okay, thank you. So now I'm just gonna take this hand and push it over across. And then there's what we call an arm triangle from here that I can set up just by doing that. So we don't wanna be, we don't wanna do that so callously, you know? We wanna have reasoning behind why we're doing that move. And sometimes if your opponent's up here, it actually makes it easier to do because if your opponent's up a little higher like this, you can actually bridge, and that'll make your opponent fall over. Now, when your opponent has all this weight up here, then you can begin to break them down and start to collapse this, okay? Now, there's a really pretty easy way to do that. You know, if I try to like hook underneath here, like that's easy, right? But one of the easier ways to do this, and so this would be what you would want to practice. Actually going to pull the arm down and then come through. All right. So like here's my opponent. He's mounted on top of me. So what I'm going to do then is I'm actually going to reach. And I'm going to grab with this arm. And I'm going to pull that arm in like this. Okay, because you can do it with the arm across the chest. This is a common way to do it as well. So if I break this arm down, so the elbow's bent. So the elbow is bent. I can't really bend my elbow with Bob here. But the elbow's bent there, and I can do the same thing. Bridge and roll, right? Pretty easy. So if they're out here like this, I don't try to necessarily swim up here right away, right? I reach and actually grab down here like this and pull them down. Now, once this is pulled down, I could go inside if I wanted more control, but this can work too. If I get this over here and across, right? So I go over here and I go across. And then I'm gonna grab this ankle, I'm gonna bridge, and I'm gonna roll. Okay? So again, with this move, you can, you don't want to make a big, like if I go way up here like this is bad. All right, if I go way up here, this person can start to control this arm, and I'm, like, because I'm so far away from my body, trying to push out like this, it's kind of the same as if I did this on their body, right? It's like, my arm's way out here, he's gonna grab my arm, and even more so if I put my arm up like this to try to do that, he could push it over and then slide up on this side and go for an arm bar. These are all things, these are all reasons why you don't want to try to just kind of get this arm way out here or even way up here to try to come underneath. You always want to kind of try to break this down and then come up and over. So you can do that too. So you've got break this down. He's being a little resistant. So then I'm going to hold this elbow, come up underneath, then do it. Or break this down and pull it over. And if this is easy for you, then that's the same thing. So always about breaking it down, coming here and, you know, making it easy for yourself. Never way up here like this. Always super easy like that. Okay. Or, you know, grabbing. And once you grabbed here, then you can grab that foot, bridge, and roll. All right. So if you want to try that, this, like I said, this video will also be on YouTube pretty soon, later today probably. So you could come back and revisit this and try some of these options you have here. But the one thing you're actually gonna run into with this move is your opponent is actually going to know that the roll is coming because you're pulling on the arm. So they're gonna base their weight over to this side. All right, so their weight's gonna be all based over here, because if it's based over there and I try to do this, it's not gonna happen. All right, so that's when I can move from this and I could do the turn, get the leg back inside and go for the other move, right? So these two moves can be connected pretty easily. There's actually another opportunity for a different move as well, which I will show tomorrow. But these two moves can be well connected because of that. So again, you go for that arm, you pull this down, they go off this direction because they know that's the way you're going to upa. And by doing that, they take weight off of this leg. So then I can turn and get this side in. Should be able to get that side in if I flow them together. And that may take some time to develop, but once you do, it's actually a pretty cool couple of maneuvers, okay? Now again, one of the things that you will have to deal with in this position are the hooks. So let me see if I can get Bob here to hook me a little bit here. Are the hooks. All right, so in this case, Bob's hooked my legs, and if he's good at hooking my legs, if I try to straighten them out, he's actually gonna follow my legs with it, all right? Now with the legs hooked in, here's the thing. With the legs hooked in, he can't move as fast as he could if he was just up on his knees. All right, with the legs hooked in, I can be a little less careful with this move here, with this overhook, because simply because with those legs hooked in, I can actually keep that leg hooked in if I want to. I can keep this leg hooked in by putting pressure on it, and then I have all day here because his weight is over me. In order to get the weight back, he needs to move back, and in order to move back, he needs to bring his knees forward, and he can't bring his knees forward if my foot is hooking his foot, okay? So we still do the same move here. He's down here and here like this. You hook that foot, now we can come here. Now we just have to worry about one thing, this other hook. All right, that's actually pretty easy to take care of. You go straight up in the air like this, you come around to your foot, you unhook their leg, and then once you've done that, now you can just go to your bridge and roll. Okay, so again, he's got these hooks in, you know, he's really holding me down, he's driving back, you know, maybe he's up here, so I go reach up, grab that arm like that. After I'm holding this, I'm going to kick this leg up, down, straighten it out, and then bridge and roll back into guard. Okay? So that's one of the things you might run into with this move. One other thing you might run into is your opponent, like I said, they kind of sit up on you, right? One thing that I know that you get more in a fight than you do in actual jiu-jitsu is the sit-up part. All right. So just to give you a little real world execution here, if somebody's sitting on you and they're sitting up like this, I see this in the UFC all the time, and it really frustrates me. People go like this. They bring their legs up as if this is really going to help, and they're defending here. So their opponent's sitting like real high on them like this. This isn't doing anything, and they try to punch. What you need to do is you need to take the punch till you can get them down here, and then once they're here, then you just bridge and they go forward. They're not going to knock themselves out, but they can go forward. And then once they're forward, now I can regrip the arm and do this. Now, will that work in the UFC? Probably not, just because most people in there know that move. They should at least know enough to bridge, to buck up, get this overhook, to get this head control here, keep this real tight, and keep the head close while they're still trying to like work out of this move. But it's just, but in a real fight with somebody who doesn't really know what they're doing, that move would work almost 100% of the time. Only very athletic people, I would say, would be prone to not have that work. Okay, but yeah. So that's the UPA and some ideas behind that. Okay. The last thing I'm gonna go over here is the top cross collar choke. So again, in gi jiu-jitsu, we have more weapons than we do in like submission grappling or no-gi grappling. And so we have this wonderful choke that we can do from the top. It's a gi choke, and it's a cross collar choke. So what you do is you get this hand inside like this, tight on the collar, and you use it to punch down to the mat. So I've got the collar, I've made a fist, boom, I'm down on the mat here. All right. Then I'm going to lean over this side and put some pressure on my opponent. Now, if I put my, where I put my pressure is kind of important. If I put my pressure too far over this way, they might be able to bridge and roll me. They might be able to upa me. But if I, so what is a good thing to do is actually try to get it so that your forearm is kind of down the center line of your opponent. All right. So if I get this hand inside here, and I want to try to like come down on my elbow like this, right? This is real strong because I'm kind of pivoting the pin between my elbow and my my hand and their gi. So now once I'm here, I'm going to stay low. I'm going to swing over like this, and I'm going to come up inside, and I'm going to grab the gi like this, and then I'm going to come down. I'm going to pull my arms apart to choke. Okay, that is that's a cross collar choke. Okay, so so again, the setup can come from a few places, but in an ideal world, you can pull this tight, and you may even start to set this up from a different position. So like, let's say I pull this tight and I go in. So like, let's say maybe I'm in side control, right? And so I pull this tight, like I'm gonna go for the paper cutter choke. Or maybe I'm here like this, and I'm here, and instead of finishing the paper cutter choke, like maybe I come here like this to be this jerk, because this is something jerk jiu-jitsu guys can do. Perfectly legitimate, putting the forearm into the throat like this. When I go to step over, when I go to mount, then I can come in here like this and readjust for the move. Come around, do the thing, grab the thing, pull the thing. good to go. All right. Now, this is where the defensive part comes into play. All right. With the gi, there's lots of chokes. There's lots of ways to set up those chokes, but you need to know how to you need to understand them and defend them. Because if somebody like really learns how to choke somebody with a gi on, and they just do all kinds of gi chokes, then you need to know how those chokes work so you can defend against them. Because if you're on bottom, it's real easy for you to like grab hands and snap them off, right? But when you're when you're on top, you got more of this and whatnot. When you're on bottom, you don't have that leverage. You don't have that pushing leverage. So you have to spend more time defending and using angles to help get your opponent from keep your opponent from choking you. Okay, so when someone goes to set this up, right? The first thing I would think is about that forearm. All right, when someone goes inside your gi and their forearm comes down here to the sternum, even just off to the side like this, it's actually pretty easy to take this hand and push it over to the side, right? Because you can grab that elbow inside here and grab this, grab that on the outside and just shove it over, right? And then once it's over, you've already got this hand over the forearm, and then you can try your bridge and roll. But the problem there is their hand's way over here, okay? So what are you trying to do to stop this choke? There's a pretty easy solution to this. And the easy solution is the cell phone. The cell phone is a common solution to a lot of chokes, especially from the bottom. If I'm getting baseball bat choked, the cell phone is where I want to go. If I'm going to get paper cutter choked, or if I feel like the paper cutter choke's coming on, usually their hand's over here, and so their arm is like this, and then they want to bring it over my head. Do the same thing. Grab the back of my head and just hold their arm in place. Now they can't do it. Okay. Another good setup is for this. Remember, so they start by pulling in here, and then their other arm goes over here, and they got to go all the way over here like this, and then get their elbow inside. So what you're going to do is you're going to just do this right here, and they can't use their elbow in this scenario, right? Now, the thing that it does set you up for, that you have to worry about though, is it could potentially set you up for an arm triangle. So if you're here and they go to try to do this move, right? They need to get their elbow here. If they get their head here, they can try to bring this in and drop it down, and then you have to worry about arm triangles, right? But if they go inside and you try to you're worried about arm triangles, you can also so we're here like this, and they get the head inside. From here, the thing is you can't. You think, oh, I could maybe turn. Like if I turn, I'd be okay. But the fact is that if they have this locked in over here and they're punching to the ground like they should with this control here, or no, they've got you leveraged right, turning is going to be real difficult. But if you can turn, that's another good way to prevent it. All right. So the cell phones really just stop them from doing this current move scenario. And the other good thing too is that to keep them from really finishing in the arm triangle, you can control this arm too. And if I had an opponent who could grab this, I'd kind of show you. Because in order to finish the arm triangle, this arm has to go over the head. So if this arm comes here, let's see if I can get Bob to do this for you guys one time. Just give me one time here, Bob. Okay. So this hand goes here, right? And it's going to go deep, and it's going to go to the side. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this, and I'm going to grab inside his elbow pit and his hand, and I'm going to push his arm over like this. All right. Now I should be able to turn. See, and his hand's on my lapel right now. And then I can, try to grab this foot. That's another way you can get back in, is grab the foot. Or now that it's there, I can actually come down here and push that back in just like I did before. And I'm okay. I'm okay. Right? But let's say this person's just really somehow set in this way, and they're going to come over here like this, and they're going to try to do this. Well, see, that's what happens here like this. You can't get past my arm if you're here, right? So if he lets this go, right, that's fine, because I'm going to actually defend here and get back to where I was, and now I don't have to worry about that move anymore. So this is a really strong defense in a lot of situations. Just reach and grab here, like so. And now choking me is very, very difficult, let alone impossible. So he might be able to, if he's really shifty, to try to get this arm inside here before he goes for it, but I doubt that that would honestly work. So the cell phone for triangles is a very strong way to do it from the bottom, especially considering how much pressure you have to put down and stuff. So just remember that if you're ever being attacked from the bottom, a lot of times just doing this to defend that attack, it's going to be enough. It's going to be enough for the baseball bat choke. It's going to be enough for the paper cutter choke to even get started. It's definitely going to be enough for that top cross collar choke. Okay. All right. That's it for me, guys. Thanks for staying or coming along with me. Hope you guys had this was informative for you guys, and hopefully I'll see you next time.